Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Reading Epic Threads. I'm your host, Patrick Gunnels. I am joining you from Spring, Texas. Today is January 6th, 2025 at 8:58 a.m. Central Standard Time. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. I'm sorry that I hardly do Reading Epic Threads these days. It boils down to it's just there's not enough hours in the day. So I'm trying to get all these orders for epic minerals out, all these orders for tulip blooms out, and it is truly rewarding work. In the meantime, I am just deeply grateful to all of you for letting me know that you care about reading epic threads and that you want me to do it more. So we will get started right now. So what I want to do is go into my emails and talk to you about some of the stories that we've gotten from you Badlands fans and Reading Epic Threads fans about your experiences on January 6th, 2021. So we've got Donato, who says, "Good morning, brother. Listening to Hindsight 2020. I go by the handle Doc from Amish PA or Phil on Telegram. Secret frog. Please don't out my real last name, which is in the email. You need to lead with that. I'm glad I didn't do that. I will include some pics from J6 attached. So let's take a look at that right now. We had been to DC for the two previous rallies, and we were prepared for what we thought we would see. We got to DC late on the 6th. Walked down to stand outside the White House proper on the street outside the fence by the Washington Monument. We could barely hear President Donald J. Trump speaking. But we did walk by Ray Epps, who was near the snowplows. We knew there were other speakers at the Capitol, so we started walking. The streets had a different feel, more feral, if that makes sense. Less police presence and signs that MAGA weren't the only people in town. When we got to the Capitol, we stopped dead in our tracks. The cattle gates we had seen the previous times, the roving patrols, the M4s, and the dogs were not there. The only fence we saw was a snow fence to keep people off the grass. We knew immediately this was a setup. We posted up in line with the inaugural setup. We saw and heard the dude in the tower telling everyone to push forward. We saw and heard the shots from the Capitol Police with the smoke bombs. We stayed there as the crowd pushed in from the White House. We sang songs. We prayed. We watched the guys climbing the inaugural seating. At some point, we started seeing signs things were about to get real with what we thought were SWAT and nasty girls showing up. We bounced at that point. That's when we started seeing in the trees as the streets teams and the black bloc was being ditched for MAGA gear. Tons of people missing on the grounds in the bushes, as well as there were almost zero porta potties. And then just some... These are photos that Phil took. Amazing stuff. All right. Thank you so much, Phil from Amish PA. All right, let's get to the next one. All right. This is from Mrs. A. Whatley. I wanted to tell you about my January 6th story. My family, which is my husband, Larry, my son, Trey, who was 15 at the time, my daughter, Trinity, was 11, and my daughter Tristan, Tristyn, was only 3. President Trump was very convincing, and we knew that the 2020 election had been stolen. We were protesting for Congress to stand up and do the right thing. It was freaking freezing, as you know. And after Trump's speech that morning, everyone started walking towards the Capitol. My husband got us all to his truck, and that's when we saw the black SUVs with people who didn't look like they were MAGA getting out of them. We got in my husband's truck and drove towards the Capitol. I stayed behind in the truck with my daughters, but Larry and Trey went to check things out. I'm attaching all of the photos and videos from that day to this email. Just be careful, because my husband has a sailor's mouth. What was amazing to me was that night I can't remember the name of the hotel we stayed at, but it had a lot of floors and a lot of people were there. Everyone came out of their rooms and gathered on their inside balconies and started to chant USA, USA. It was wild, just like President Trump said it would be. I have been a badlander since the beginning. I watch you every morning on The Brief and I enjoy listening to you. I hope this helps you with your segment you're making for J6, and I hope you have a wonderful day. All right, let's check out these photos. Aha. There we go. Okay, that's bull. That's throwing axes at Biden and Pelosi. That's fuck Biden and fuck you for voting for him once again. All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. A. Watley. Really appreciate that. This next one comes from Larry. Hey, Patrick. My wife and I were in D.C. on J6 to proudly support Donald Trump and to protest the stolen election. We're from Pennsylvania, just outside Philly. A local group arranged buses for transportation to and from D.C. that day. Upon arrival, we all walked up to the ellipse to hear the speakers. So many people, we could not even get close to the podium, but had to remain about halfway back to the Washington Monument. The crowd was amazing, peaceful, saying prayers, singing patriotic songs, and chanting political support for Trump. The crowd was diverse and represented every group of people from every walk of American life. Trump had just begun to speak, and my wife expressed the need for a bathroom. And our search revealed that the mayor intentionally locked up all the public buildings and there were no porta potties provided. We began walking toward the Capitol and eventually found a porta potty at a construction site halfway to the Capitol my wife was able to use. I was listening to Trump on my phone and he was about halfway through his speech. We decided to proceed to the Capitol instead of going back. I have done police work, and there was an incredible lack of visible law enforcement. I saw a few observers on rooftops, and at the Capitol, there were only 6 officers spread over the entire line of the Capitol lawn. When we arrived, there were already 300 to 500 people present, and very obviously there to cause trouble. None were true Trump supporters, and all were spouting "take over the Capitol" rhetoric with megaphones. Many had gas masks and military police type vests. Bad guys. Soon after our arrival, the bike rack barriers were pushed down and they proceeded to the Capitol. In the meantime, a large amount of peaceful protesters were arriving, and soon we all proceeded to the area of the scaffolding. Except for the idiots screaming through the megaphones, everyone was just standing around talking. Then the Capitol Police began attacking the crowd with rubber bullets. The bad guys in the crowd used this as an excuse to move forward toward the police line. The police then rapidly escalated their attacks with pepper spray, flashbangs, and gas. At this point, we withdrew from the Capitol area and went back to our bus to wait for return. Larry, thank you so much. I myself did not go to the Capitol. I didn't even finish Trump's speech. It was freezing and I had to pee. It was freaking madness. I mean, it was freezing. And not only that, I was wearing shitty shoes that just really took up the cold from the wet grass. Washington is gross. DC, it's just gross. The geography is literally a swamp. And I couldn't take it. I thought I was getting frostbite. My hands and feet were getting numb. I didn't finish the speech. I thought it was a fairly boilerplate Trump rally speech too. And what few cops I did see were perfectly friendly. That's what I got out of it. All right, the next one is from Joe. This is entitled J6, My J6 Story. I went to DC on J6 because President Trump asked anyone who could attend to please attend the rally that day. My oldest brother joined me, and we met at a campsite near DC on January 5th, where I set up my travel trailer for our stay. We made our plans to take the metro to the event and talked about the possibility that there might be problems with agitators/bad actors, and we talked about how we were going to stay safe. The morning of J6, we drove to the metro station. It was the end point on this line, parked, and made our way to the train station. Neither of us wore a mask, and while the PA system was constantly blaring about masks, no one said anything to us. Looking around, we could see a lot of people without masks, but no one was making a fuss about it either way. We boarded the metro, and the car was packed. As we moved along, it quickly became apparent that we had nothing to fear. Everyone on the metro was friendly as can be. It seemed everyone was headed to the J6 rally at the Ellipse. Conversations began, and everyone was very excited and upbeat. Many, like my brother and I, stated that we were there because the president had asked us to come. Many were ex-military, but people had come from all across the country, including California and Alaska, as well as locals. You could not have found a friendlier group of people. To show how caring this group was, here's my favorite good story from the day that really exemplified the crowd of that day. At one metro stop, a group of older people began to board the car we were in. It was very crowded. As this group piled into our car, the door began to close, and an elderly woman got on, but her husband did not make it before the door closed. This woman was panic-stricken. A group of ex-military guys quickly came to her aid. They stayed with her and got off at the next stop with her and said they would stay with her until she reconnected with her husband. Salt of the earth. Caring people taking care of one another. That was the kind of people we saw all day. There was no angry mob and there were no rioters. We got to our stop and walked to the Ellipse. The mood on the street was festive. Everyone was helpful to one another and they were all happy to be there. By the time we got to the Ellipse, our cell phones were no longer getting any outside service signal. I think for a while we could still get to Parler and post, but we could not get any phone service to make or receive calls. By about 10:30 a.m., you could no longer even get on Parler. The day was pretty cold. There were just a few porta potties set up in front of the stage area. Lines were very long. All of the public restrooms were closed. The area closest to the stage required a pass to get into, so we could not get into that area, but they had many porta potties set up in that area. I mention this because while, yes, it made me uncomfortable for hours, I wonder if this was planned so that people might choose to enter the Capitol simply to use restrooms. Crazy conspiracy theory? Anyway, my brother and I wandered through the crowd listening to the speakers. Oh, and the crowd was enormous. Could easily have been 1 million people gathered at the Ellipse. I have no way of knowing how many people were gathered at the Ellipse. It was the biggest crowd I've ever been in. We had fold-up chairs we carried on our backs, so we set them up around the time Trump was supposed to speak and sat and waited, and it was a long, cold wait. There was a pushcart with 3 or 4 people pushing it that had loudspeakers and played music when no one was speaking. As we waited, the cart passed us a few times. We were in the grass on the edge near a walkway up near the Washington Monument. After about an hour or so, this cart came back, urging people to follow them because they were headed to the Capitol building. There may have been a few who followed, but all the rest of us looked at each other with a look like, oh, hell no. We had come to support Trump, and we were waiting for him to speak. Well, as most know, Trump started his speech after noon. It was scheduled to begin around 11:15, and it did not end until 1:10 p.m. The vast majority of the crowd was still at the Ellipse, and then many made their way to the Capitol building. My brother and I waited and used the porta potties within the closed-off seating areas up near the stage. Trump's speech was pretty bland. It was a typical rally speech. I was hoping for new insights and a more inspiring speech, but it was all just his canned rally speech. It surely did not inspire any riots. Also, as most know, it ended with almost the entire crowd still at the Ellipse after the riot was taking place at the Capitol building. We then began our walk to the Capitol building around 1:30 p.m. As we made our way to the Capitol building, my phone began to work and I received a call from my wife. She was very concerned, saying that the TV was broadcasting that there was a riot. I laughed and told her this was the friendliest and most peaceful crowd I had ever seen. I said if there were any shenanigans, then it must be Antifa-type actors and agitators, because all the people I had spent the morning with were amazing, peace-loving patriots. She said, "Be careful." And I assured her we were safe and would remain careful. As we continued to walk peacefully with thousands of others towards the Capitol, the pushcart with the speakers reappeared from behind us, playing music, and then made its way up along the street until it was about even with us. They started playing patriotic songs and imploring the crowd to sing along with them. I forget which song they started singing, using their loudspeaker to sing, but it may have been America the Beautiful. But at the end, they forgot the words. I remember shouting, "Who are you, Sleepy Joe?" because he had forgotten the words to "Oh, you know what I mean." Then, a short time after that, they start shouting over their loudspeaker that the Capitol was the people's house, it was our house, and we needed to march up there to enter our house. As we got closer to the Capitol building, there were more stooges, dressed in all kinds of ridiculous costumes, Darth Vader, etc., shouting the same thing. It seemed very odd and very staged. None of us rushed the Capitol. I did not see anyone entering the building. We walked around and spoke with people. Very friendly atmosphere. Then we heard that a curfew was being implemented, so we started to make our way back to the metro to head back to our travel trailer. We went to First Street and headed toward the South Capitol Metro Station. At the Independence intersection, we were met by police officers who informed us that the South Capitol Metro was closed because of a bomb threat. No one was panicked or overly concerned. We just laughed and turned around and headed for Union Station to catch the metro. We walked back on First Street, the other side away from the Capitol building. As we crossed East Capitol Street, there was a young man who was on the Capitol building side of First Street across from us that started shouting in our direction. As we crossed East Capitol Street, we saw that there were police at that intersection blocking cars from getting onto East Capitol Street, and that appeared to be who the man was yelling at. The young man ran across the street yelling that the police had blood on their hands for the murder of Ashley Babbitt. We had no access to news and had no idea what he was even talking about. As he came across the street, he turned to us, showing his hand, and said that he held her after she was shot and that the fake as fuck red dye on his hands was her blood. Everything about this person seemed fake, like he was a crisis actor. I hope he didn't get paid much because he really sucked. We just ignored him and kept walking. We got to the Union Station and boarded the metro and had another very peaceful ride back to the station where my truck was parked. Later that evening, we heard about the supposed shooting. I watched video that showed how fake the shooting was. To this day, I do not believe she was shot, much less killed that day. As I thought back on the crisis actor clown that we saw, I guess he was supposed to inspire us to yell at the police or something stupid like that. You know, that shit might work with the libtarded college knuckleheads, but no one we met that day would have fallen for that horse shit or been disrespectful to those police officers, much less based on that shitty performance. I think this incident highlights the absurdity of what the Democrats, uniparty, deep state rat bastards planned for that day. If the lapdog mainstream media had not edited their story and pushed the bullshit lies, everyone could have easily found the truth, and their J6 story would have been laughed at and ended quickly. In closing, having been there, I can honestly say that this was more of a love fest than a riot, and if anything bad actually happened, it was caused by outside agitators. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. Wonderful, wonderful story. Let me back that up. I wasn't at the Capitol, but it was the most peaceful, wonderful crowd of my life. Just the best people I've ever been around. It's kind of the way it is at Patriot rallies in general. All right. The next one is an email from Jean, female Jean. Hello, dear Patrick Gunnels, who I know and love as a Badlander. I am a J6 letter writer. The Patriot Mail Project maintains a mailing list spreadsheet which lists the J6ers with pertinent info, i.e. ID number, mailing address, etc., etc., etc. All right, let's see. Let's see here. I want to make... I don't know where I'm supposed to start reading on this bit. Okay. I'd spent 59 years getting to where I was. I was ready to retire in my home, 34 Aspen Court, Fishersville, Virginia. I spent all those years getting ready to retire. The government took that in one night. Jeffrey Johannes of the Fascist Bureau of Intimidation crashed my home and allowed others to take what they wanted, resulting in almost total loss. No apology, nothing. Incarceration is what I got. Where's my attorney? By the way, this is not Gene. This is Jeffrey. You know, I just need to... this is hard to read the way it's set up. So I'm just kind of getting used to it. I've written hundreds of letters. Okay. I'm going to start over. The Patriot Mail Project maintains a mailing list spreadsheet which lists the J6ers with pertinent info, i.e. ID number, mailing address, date arrested, release date, GSG if they have one, etc. I've written hundreds of letters over the past 3 years to out political prisoners and have 2 notebook binders full of replies. There are many of their letters which I would love to share with you and your audience. I'm posting just one with this email. No one else could interpret this letter like you can. It's from Jeffrey McKellop, number 53220-509, in his 4th year of imprisonment, currently FMC Fort Worth. Airborne Ranger, 2nd Ranger BN, Special Forces, Green Beret, retired, served in combat in Bosnia, Kuwait, Afghanistan, Iraq, Africa, Germany, Italy, and more. Arrested March 17, 2021, arraigned before Judge Carl J. Nichols. He swore up and down to never let him out because of his training. It doesn't matter what anyone says. He's not going anywhere because of his training. If we let him out, he'll hurt people. He'll kill. Bond denied. This is a letter from Jeffrey McKellop. Anybody who can check on this, please do. I'm not checking on it. I'm just reading it. This is an email from Gene. I'd spent 59 years getting to where I was. I was ready to retire in my home, 34 Aspen Court, Fishersville, Virginia. I spent all those years getting ready to retire. The government took that in one night. Jeffrey Johannes of the Fascist Bureau of Intimidation crashed my home and allowed others to take what they wanted, resulting in almost total loss. No apology, nothing. Incarceration is what I got. Where's my attorney? Oh, I know. He's delving deep into archives of justice. He's scanning pages of documents looking for truth. For the amount of money he's being paid, he should have found the shooter on the grassy knoll by now. Toiling over tomes with burned, weathered, edged pages, he's refusing to go home. Even when the establishment closes down, he keeps digging for the hidden secrets to J6. He wants his clients to get their money's worth. He wants the public to know the truth. Not really. He's waiting me out to take a crappy plea deal. He's juicing the population, taking notoriety for his actions representing J6ers grandstanding in front of America. Look at what I'm doing. Look at me. I'm good. In the end, he's done nothing but buy time. I've been disappointed by so many legal representatives that claim to be attorneys. They told me being on my side was an honor. We're doing everything we can help you. You're in good hands. You can trust us. We're looking at everything. It looks good. Do you have anyone in your family that could give you $20,000 to $30,000 to further your case? I'm doing all I can. He's taking the money and waiting it out. Came to me with a crappy plea deal and expected me to make an apology to the government. Those are signs of quitting. He's had months to come up with anything and did nothing. He's waiting me out to take the deal. I will not bend the knee. I will not answer to a falsehood. He's forcing me to admit to something I didn't do. This last visit was more than I could handle. He's a used car salesman selling me a burning bag of dog crap. He had paperwork laid out like something was happening, and we're making serious headway. In the end, it was a plea deal. He's taking what the prosecution is giving him and saying nothing about it. He hasn't done anything for the amount of money paid. Fired. Now I stand alone. I'm going pro se. I have a better chance of survival if I go it alone. Nothing. I get blamed for not working with the attorney. I get blamed for not doing my part for understanding. I'm the issue with PTSD. Jeff's slipping. He's not doing well. He's not working with me. I'm doing all I can. I'm doing my best. I've been telling people from the start, these clowns are being pulled aside and told, if you further this man's case, your career is over. Not one attorney has reviewed anything I brought up. In the end, I stood alone, waiting for the truck to come and get me, waiting for the help I was promised, waiting for 20 to 50 years of imprisonment to begin. Good news. Attorneys, list of 9 attorneys, all did nothing. All waited me out to take a shitty plea deal. All did nothing to further my case. Agreed to take a plea deal and didn't tell me until the last moment before trial. I told the prosecution that you would take this deal and we would be done with it. You could be out in 5 to 10 more years. But if you admit being an alcoholic and a drug user, you could be out in 4. Hence me firing all of them. Took money from God-fearing Christians and did fucking nothing for it. Asked for more. I told everyone from the start I never lied about a thing. Jeff McKellop, political prisoner, 3rd Group Special Forces, ODA, 394, 396. I would love it if anybody could check on that. Okay. This one is from Scott. My wife and I flew from Oklahoma to Washington, D.C., and we met up with a buddy of ours from the truth community. January 6th, we arrived early, before 8 a.m., and we tried to position ourselves right in front of where Trump was to speak. We were on high alert, afraid of an Antifa attack. I immediately noticed there were about 10 porta potties and already a long line to use them, so I threw away most of my coffee. People started to flow in from all directions. More and more and more. Seemed over 1 million. It got to the point that there were 5 to 6 people touching me at all times. We were crammed together like sardines. I have never seen so many people in my life. I want to make note of our electronics. Nothing worked. We could not call. We could not text. There was no internet connection. I made a few videos early on, but I realized my phone was already almost dead and we had many hours to go. Something was draining the battery and I could really only use the camera feature. I turned my phone off to save the battery for an emergency. At some point, I had enough of the claustrophobia of the crowd, and I decided to pull myself back about 100 yards to a more semi-open area toward the Capitol building. My wife wanted to get closer to see Trump, and she was able to get inside a barricade and to some reserved seats. There was a man in a tree by me, and I witnessed what I assume was a Secret Service rush over and given all clear. The line for the restroom was well over an hour long. I witnessed an elderly man peeing out in the open by some trash cans. There was only a handful of food trucks. They made it very miserable for us. I remember Trump was very, very late to his scheduled time, at least an hour. I remember just as he was starting his speech, there were many groups already heading towards the Capitol building. I remember being suspicious, thinking they were undercover military groups. They didn't look like families, mostly men. Looking back, I think the news coverage we saw was these groups, and most of the real people were listening to Trump when the chaos was going on. After Trump's speech, people started marching towards the building. My friend and I stood off to the side and kept an eye out for my wife because we couldn't call or text her. The parade of people seemed to go on forever. Luckily, we spotted her and started our own march. During the walk, we heard all kinds of sirens, about 20 different police groups going up a road on the other side. Police, fire, unmarked FBI cars, horses, motorcycles, bicycles, and ambulances. Everything you can think of, we saw go up that road. Rumor was going around there was a bomb threat in another building, not the Capitol, and they were responding to that. About 100 to 150 yards from the Capitol building, there was a food truck with a semi-short line. We were starving, so we stopped. My wife had a portable phone charger, so I was using that, and our phones started working again. My mom calls me and asks if we're okay because it's all over the news that we stormed the Capitol building. I thought, awesome, lol. I made her this video because we were so close. We couldn't see or hear anything. Nobody looked panicked. I told her I would check it out after we got our food. After we got our food, we walked the rest of the way. There were people everywhere, all over the building, but nothing seemed too crazy. There were police everywhere, and we didn't seem to be afraid of anything. They didn't seem to be afraid of anything. At one point, we stopped to ask for directions back to the metro. They were very cordial and normal seeming. We were there from 7:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. and never saw a single argument, just a huge Trump rally. They killed our phones, so there wouldn't be a lot of video to counter their official story. It was all fake and gay, if you ask us. And here's a quick 10-second video from that experience. Thank you so much for that. That's from Scott. Let's take another crack at this, guys. Wow, this is going nice and long. Okay, one sec. And finally, I will round out by saying we have one from BitGoose, who says, hey, Patrick, big fan of Hindsight 2020 and day one Badlands Media listener here. Following your request on the last show, I don't have an anecdote, but I saved every clip I saw on my Twitter feed that day, and I edited a 5-minute compilation music video with all the footage I got. Maybe it's something you and Chris might be interested. Also includes some footage, very hard to find now. And let's check that out right now, my friends. The following video is called Once Upon a Time in DC. Enjoy.
And do your part in keeping this theater quiet. Remember, lots of adults and kids, too, paid admission to enjoy the show.
All right, folks, get your popcorn ready, baby.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh, there we go. Oh my God!
Hey, what are you doing? America, you can do whatever you want. We don't want anybody hurt. Go home and go home in peace. There's never been a time like this where
Disagree with it, respect it.
Oh shit! What reality is this? Oh my God, we did this shit. What's up, bro?
Probably coordinate together if you're going to take the
Jake, this is 2021, y'all. This is insanity. Holy shit! What is this? What is life?
Life sucks. I'm probably gonna get in trouble again.
What kind of weed is that?
Big Berry. Big shit, bro.
Yeah, big gang shit.
We did it.
I was trying to tell you. I couldn't say much.
Wait, you weren't recording, were you?
I'll delete it. This is real life, though. This seems like a movie. Go! Let's go! Get this shit! Here's the gun!
Hey, he's got a gun.
Oh!
Fucking hey, man. Glad to see you guys. You guys are fucking patriots. You guys leave the same way.
We will. I've been making sure they ain't disrespecting the place.
Cops walked out with me.
They just let you go?
Yeah.
So you just walked out, right?
I just fucking walked out.
I'm gonna wear a Trump hat. I bought one today. Oh yeah, I was just a journalist, but I use that all the time. Yeah, I'm just a journalist. I'm here recording.
Are you BLM? Are you Black Lives Matter, John?
John Sullivan of Utah, a liberal anarchist, liberal activist. He was encouraging people to light things on fire, and the FBI recommends in their affidavit that he be charged with federal crimes.
We are focused on one account right now, but this is going to be much bigger.
Facebook and Twitter have seen a combined $51.2 billion drop in market value over the last 2 days since they banned President Trump.
Wednesday, they took Pelosi's laptop. There were some people in there that were special forces mixed with Antifa, and they took her laptop and they have that data.
We're not here to be Antifa.
We're not here to be Antifa, is what they said. Did you hear that?
I'm sorry, did you do what?
Everybody, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up on this video, share it with others. Share it with others if you can. Also, visit our sponsors, and that would be my companies. And you got to use promo code Shapiro here on Reading Epic Threads for 10% off to let me know that you are interested in what I do here, because we've got amazing products. TulipBlooms.shop. The castor blend is changing lives even as we speak. Gotta check it out. Castor blend is amazing. TulipBlooms.shop. Promo code Shapiro. The Zeolite Extra Spray. Another amazing product with humic and fulvic acids. And of course, the colloidal silver, new at Reading Epic Threads at epicminerals.net. Detoxification extraordinaire. Check out all of these things. Don't forget promo code Shapiro. That's right. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. It's nice to do a little Reading Epic Threads now that I've been just swamped beyond all belief. I will get back to Reading Epic Threads. It's going to happen. I'm finding a way. Just got to offload a few of my daily tasks to people who I pay an hourly wage to. So working on that, but it's kind of hard to find really great people and people who want to stick around. So anyway, we've got people in place. It's just a matter of upping their hours, and we're almost there. So thank you, everybody, for your patience on that as well. And let us pray. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.